Hello, I'm Lineke Lijn and welcome to another tutorial. Let's get started. In this tutorial we are going to draw a forest and I'm going to use an eraser pencil, which is very handy. You can easily sharpen them and so you will always have a sharp eraser at hand. And for the fur I'm going to use the standard graphite pencils, and this is a picture that I've taken from the internet, and it's with those light beams that are in a forest and shining through the trees and all. And I think that's so wonderful. I've seen this happening in one of my strolls in the forest and it's so nice. This is a pre-study I did to get the feel of it, and for the setup I will be using makeup powder, black. It's very handy, and when you want to start drawing a forest, it is a good idea to start this out simply with your fingers and a little bit of powder. This can also be graphite powder or makeup powder, it doesn't matter. But it's very smart to do, because when you start out with a pencil you can easily get a lot of lines going on, and at some point you will not know what you're doing anymore. So it's nice to start out with the powder to get the whole idea of the parts that you want to be the darkest and the parts that you want to be as light as possible. So here I'm demonstrating how I am setting up the composition for the drawing of the forest that we are doing today. For the background I use some quick strokes, and I use some areas that are darker and areas that I want to be light. And the background, of course, is as fake as possible. It's all fake for now, but what I want to do here is to get definition between the dark parts and the light parts. What's even better is that you get a very quick result of the idea that you have in your head. So you don't have to get any lines. You are drawing for about half an hour and you still don't get any result. This is a very quick result, and you can easily determine where you want what. I get the picture in hand and I compare it, and this drawing is not flat like a Dutch forest. I want it to be dynamic and more like a mountain forest, but I'm still using that picture to get the idea of the lights and the darks. And just by moving around the powder a little bit, you can see that there's a lot of depth that appears for you. It's like when you go to the theater and you have all those segments at the side. You have to think like that. Just build up your own theater and a lot of depth. And now that I have this, I'm starting out with my 8B graphite pencil. The setup is done, and all I have to do now is get some detail in. When you're drawing a forest, you do not want to draw in every piece of tree and every branch and every leaf. You don't want to do that. That's a lot of work. What you want to do is to get the suggestion of a forest. So if you simply put in a little bit of detail here and there, and then as much as detail in front and as less of detail in the back, you get a lot of depth. It's a hard word for a Dutch woman. A lot of 3D effect, and you don't have to be all that focused on every little branch and every little leaf. Just think in the bigger parts. This is the shadow that is falling on the ground from the right tree. And as you can see, I'm shifting here between the parts of the bottom that where the sun can come onto the ground, and the parts that have a lot of shadow in them. That's also for the background. So I'm drawing in between the trees, the darker areas, and the branches that do not get any sun on them. I simply draw in very, well, it's very rough. It's a rough sketch. Now it's time for my pencil eraser. And in this drawing I have chosen that the light will come from the right. So the right side of my trees will be the lightest, and the left side of my trees will be the darkest. Here I'm drawing in a little bit of grass that's on the bottom, the forest ground, and all I have to do now is draw next to them a little bit of shadow that's in the grass. And now I'm getting a little bit of vegetation that is growing out of the forest ground. Here in front, the part that is closest to us, I draw in some flowers, and those can be lit up also with the pencil eraser, and then they really pop into the front. I also use the pencil eraser for the parts on the tree trunks, where the light hits the tree trunks. And with the 8B I draw out some, well, just tiny branches. This is that left side of the trunk that I really want to be dark. Here for the left tree, I'm using the same kind of light. So the right side of the tree must be as bright as possible, because there the sun hits the trunk, while as the left side will be darkened. Here in the middle part of the forest ground, there is well, the most of the sun. It's kind of like when you are walking in the woods and there's a part in the woods that is kind of an open area, a little open area where the sun can come in through the leaves, and you get that great feel of depth, of the darkness in front and the light part in the middle area. Here for the left side of the left tree, of course I need a lot of shadow. There's also shadow that is hitting the ground, so I'm drawing this in. Then here in front there is a little bit of sunshine, so I light that up a little bit. Maybe some ferns. And the nice thing about drawing this kind of forest is that you can get into detail as much as you want. You could draw in a rabbit that's coming from its home, or maybe a deer that's walking there, or some mushrooms that are growing. Just everything you want, but just keep the great picture that you want a lot of depth and 3D effect, and the background and the front. Just keep this in mind. Here are some branches that I also want to make sure that I have the white side and the dark side. So the sunny side and the shadowy side. Just so nice to do. You can shift around the powder as much as you want, and you can keep drawing. And this part, well, that's the best, of course. That's those beams that come through the trees. It's just so marvelous to do. And you can draw in as many as you want, of course. You can also make them zigzag, but I'm just drawing into just for the example. And what you can do then is take an HB pencil, which is lighter of gray. It's a harder pencil. You can use that to light up the beams even more and to color in the parts between the trees, the trunks in the back. And it's always nice to use different kinds of hardness of graphite to get extra dimension in your drawing. Also use that for little small details for the middle section, for instance. Little grasses that are coming out of the ground. Little shadows that are on the front. Just to get a suggestion of a lot of vegetation and maybe rocks and all kinds of mosses that are growing. And here a little bit of shadow that the right tree is throwing on the ground. Just play around with it. It's just so much fun to do. Here the 8B again for the extra dark shadow side. And I really want those two trees, those main trees, to really pop out in front. left tree is the most important, the right tree second important, and then for the rest it's the middle area and the beams, of course, that really need attention. But the beams are shining to the left tree, and then you get a direction in which you want the viewer to watch your drawing. Just play around. This is a very rough sketch. Again, it's not even that, well, beautiful if you want, but it's fun to do, and I hope fun to watch. And I just wanted to demonstrate how important it is to think in different layers. So the front layer, the middle layer, and the background layer. It's just very important. And please do not try to draw in every tree trunk and every little branch, because you will drown in your drawing. Keep it as simple as possible. Well, that's it. That's what I wanted to demonstrate. I hope you will like it a lot. Give it a big like, and of course I hope to see you again in one of my other tutorials. See you soon. Bye bye. Take care.